Hey, hi friends, this is Bakappa. I'll be creating a series of tutorials on Specflow BDD automation framework from the scratch. In the today's tutorial, I'll discuss how to get started with the Specflow BDD automation framework. I will jump to our agenda now. So firstly, we'll understand Specflow and difference between BDD and TDD. Specflow is an open source BDD automation framework for the .NET. And coming to the BDD and TDD, BDD stands for Behavior Driven Development. TDD stands for Test Driven Development. In case of BDD, we will be writing the feature files, which is understandable by the business analyst, development team, stakeholders, or even the testing team. So we will be writing the feature files, which will be easily understandable by the many of the team members who are working in the project. And in case of TDD, so this approach is used by the development team mainly, and so developer will write the test before implementing the feature. So eventually this test will fail before implementing the feature. They'll run the test after implementing the test. And once they implement the feature, then again the same test will be executed. And during that time, once the feature is implemented, then that particular test case will be passed. So that is how the TDD will be used by the development team mainly. In case of BDD, so this concept or this methodology will be used by the testing team or the end users. So now let us move on to the installation and project creation part. So we need to install Specflow for Visual Studio. So only one software is required, and that means extension. By default, you should have the Visual Studio in your system. Then we'll start creating the project. Once we started creating a project, we will discuss about the UI flow, and then we'll start creating the feature file. Inside the feature file, we'll define the scenarios. And for each of the scenarios, there will be a number of steps. By using the Gherkin keywords, we'll be defining the steps. So for each of the steps will be mapped to the step definition file class. That means a step connected with the scenario steps. Then we'll be installing the Selenium WebDriver for automating the UI flow. Then also we'll discuss how to navigate between the feature file and the step definition file. And finally, we will execute the feature file. Then we will be seeing the Specflow LivingDoc report, where you will see the how many feature files got executed and how many steps are passed and how many scenarios are passed, something like that. So coming to the next slide. So when you create the first time by using the Specflow template, once you create a project, so this is a default structure of the project. So here you will see that mainly the solution and followed by the project name. And there are three parts. One is dependency, and the second one is the features, and third one is the step definitions. In case of dependencies, we will be adding the dependencies whatever required for this particular project. In our case, we have to add the Selenium WebDriver to the dependencies. So we'll be adding the Selenium WebDriver to the dependencies by right clicking on the dependencies and going to the manage NuGet packages. And the second part is features. So where we'll be creating the feature file. Under that, we'll be defining the scenario. Inside the scenario, we are using the Gherkin keywords. By using those keywords, we will write the steps. And finally, we have the step definition folder. So inside this step definition folder, we will implement the steps which are there inside the feature file. So this is all about the folder structure for the project. So this is the GitHub link where you will get all the code which we are going to discuss in this tutorial, and also in the upcoming tutorial whatever we are going to discuss. So all the code will be available in this GitHub repository. You can go to the github.com and / you can type Bakappa. So you can go to the web page, and here once you go to this GitHub repository and navigate to the repositories section, Inside this you can find the Specflow BDD automation framework. So here you will find the whole code which we are going to discuss in this Specflow BDD automation framework series. And if you come down here, you will see the content what we are going to discuss in the upcoming tutorials. So this is a brief introduction about the Specflow BDD automation framework. Now let us install the Specflow for Visual Studio in the Visual Studio. So let us open the Visual Studio now. So after opening the Visual Studio, in my case I'm using the 2022 version, and here you can click on continue without code, and after that you can go to the extensions. Under extensions you can go to the manage extensions. In the right side corner you can see that there is a search box. Simply type Specflow. So firstly we will discuss about the installation part, then we will create the new project from the scratch. So in my case already Specflow for Visual Studio 2022 it is already installed, and if you see the check mark here, so if you are installing first time typing the Specflow, you'll see something like this. So just you need to type the Specflow here on the right side corner, top corner, and you will see the Specflow for Visual Studio, and here you will see the download button. Click on download button. After download button you can wait for few seconds and simply close the Visual Studio. Then automatically that particular extension will be installed. After installation you will see this particular successful message. Your modifications have been successfully applied. Then you can restart the Visual Studio. So that's all about the installation part. So this will take few seconds guys. So firstly you need to search for and click on download. Then you can close the Visual Studio and you can wait for 2 minutes. Then automatically this installation will be started. Then after completion of the installation you will see this successful message. So this is all about the installation part. Now let's create the new project. So I'll go here and simply I'll close this window. You can go to the file and here you can select the new, then select the project option, and here you type Specflow. So that's it. So this Specflow project template supports for the C# programming language, right? So you can select this particular template and click on next. And here you can provide the project name and also select the required folder where you want to keep this particular project. And you can provide the different name for the solution as well, and it is up to you. So in my case I have selected this particular checkbox so that project name and solution name can be same. So after that simply click on create. So that's it. So after, let's say let me click on this create. So you can provide the proper project name and solution name. After that it comes to this particular window, and here you need to select the .NET version, and also you need to select the test framework. So in my case I have selected the NUnit test framework and I'm using the latest version of the .NET framework. Then you can select this particular checkbox if you want, otherwise you can uncheck it. This is not a mandatory checkbox. Then you say create. After creating, so automatically your project will be opened like this. So in my case I have already created the project and I have opened the solution in the Visual Studio. So once you created a project, and you will see the project folder structure like this. So this folder structure we have already seen in the PPT, right? So installation is done. We have created a project. Now we have to discuss the scenario, that is the UI flow. What we will do, we will go to the youtube.com and here we will search with the testers top. Then we will press enter from the keyboard. So this is our scenario. We will firstly write the future file. Inside the future file we will implement the scenario. For that particular scenario we will implement the step definition file. So that's it. So let's go to the Visual Studio now. So I will go to the features folder, and I will right click on that. Sorry, here I'll select the add and followed by the new item. So on the left side you will see the Specflow. Select the Specflow, and here you will see the all the different file types. So we are going to create the feature file. So I will select the feature file for Specflow, and you can specify the name of the feature file. So in my case, I'm not giving any specific name. I am keeping it as feature1.feature, and I'll say add. So feature1.feature file got created, and if you see here, we have to specify the feature name, and also we have to specify the short summary of the feature. Sorry, so I will specify the feature name. I'll say YouTube search feature, and I will provide the summary as search for the testers top. So that's it. So coming to the line number 5, so here you are seeing the tag name. So I will specify the tag name as testers top. That's it. Now we have to give the scenario name, and followed by we have the 3 steps. So these are the Gherkin keywords where you can specify the step name. So there are multiple Gherkin keywords. Right now it is displayed only 3: given, when, and then. Even there is an and as well. So you can use those keywords, and you can enhance the scenario as well. So in my case, I will keep it simple. This particular scenario, I will say here search for testers top, right? So we are going to test the search functionality in the YouTube application, right? So that's the reason I have written YouTube search feature, then followed by search for the testers top. So here we are entering the testers talk in the search box. So now we have provided the tag name, then we have provided the scenario name as well. Then now we will write the step. What I will do first, I'll say open the browser. We have to open the browser first, because without opening the browser we can't perform anything, right? So that will be the first step. Open the browser and enter the URL, that is our youtube.com. Then finally I will say search for the testers top. That's it. So our feature file is ready. So this is our feature. And now what I will do, I will go to the step definition. So feature file is ready. So we have to write the logic to invoke these particular steps, right? I will copy this particular class, that is calculator step definitions, and I will paste it inside the step definition folder. I will rename this file name as feature1 step definition.cs. So that's it. I will open the step definition file, and I will delete all the steps which are there inside this particular class. So that's it. I will rename the class name as future step definitions. So that's it. So now we have the feature file, and we have the step definition file, right? Step definition class. So you can go to the feature1.feature, then right click on this one. You say just define steps. You need to select the option as define steps. So Specflow will help you to generate the steps. So I'll simply click on copy to clipboard. That's it, guys. So no need to write the each steps manually. So Specflow provides a awesome feature to generate the steps automatically. So go to the again future step definition class and simply paste it here. So that's it. We have created the feature file, and we have implemented the step definition class. Now we need to write a logic to invoke the browser. So for this thing, what you need to do is we need to add the Selenium WebDriver, right? So to add a Selenium WebDriver, you need to right click on the dependencies and you need to go to the manage NuGet packages. So we are using the almost latest version of the Selenium WebDriver, that is 4.6.0. So no need to download the any drivers. It can be Chrome browser driver or it can be Edge browser driver. So here simply type for Selenium. So that's it. You can come down and here you will find the selenium.webdriver. So this is the latest version, that is 4.7.0. You can go ahead and use the latest version. That is also not an issue. In my case, I will say install. I will be installing the 4.6.0. So still it should work fine. So whatever the features you are implementing and executing it in the latest version of the Selenium, it will work fine without prompting any issues. So after clicking on install, you can go to the install tab and you will be able to see the selenium.webdriver and followed by the version, whichever the version you have installed. So once you have this confirmation, you can simply close this tab, right? So that's it, guys. So now we have to implement the code which will launch the browser firstly, right? So I'll go to the first step. So open the browser, right? So here I'll say, here I'm creating the object of Chrome driver. So this will launches the Chrome browser, right? So what I will do here, I'll assign it back to the driver object. So that's it. So as we need to use this driver object in the next steps as well, while entering the URL, while finding an element also, we have to use the driver object. For that reason, I will define it as a globally. Here I'll say private. Here I'll say iWebDriver. That's it. You can import the iWebDriver. So you can say using openqa.selenium, and similarly you can import the Chrome driver. So that's it. So this will opens up the Chrome browser and we have to enter the URL. So that is our next step. We have to enter the URL. So I will use this driver object and I will call to the method called URL. So here we have to specify the URL. So we are going to open the youtube.com, right? So I will specify youtube.com. So that's it. We have opened the browser, then we have entered the URL, then we have to find the search text box, right? I'll go to the web browser now. I will inspect this search text box. And if I come right side, so here I'll be using the name attribute and it has the search underscore query as the value. So here I'm writing the XPath to / followed by @name is equal to. So I'll specify the value. So it is highlighting the search text box, right? I'll copy this one and I'll go to the IDE now. Here I'm using the driver object dot, I'll say find element and followed by, I'm specifying the locator type. Here I'll specify the XPath. Inside the string I'll specify the XPath value. And after that I will have to use the send keys because we have to enter the testers doc in this particular text box. So here I'll say testers doc. So that's it. We have identified this particular text box and we have entered the value. Then we have to press the enter from the keyboard. So for that reason I will use the same element and I'll use the send keys, and inside the send keys I will pass the keys dot enter. So that will press the enter from the keyboard, right? So I will use the send keys. Inside this I will use the keys dot enter. So this will press the enter from the keyboard, and after pressing enter from the keyboard I will wait for some time. So here I'll write thread dot sleep, and here I'll say 5000 as milliseconds, that means 5 seconds. Then finally we will close the browser. I'll use the driver object dot, I'll say quit. So this will closes the browser, right? So what I will do, I will simply copy this thread dot sleep and I'll paste it after the line number 20. After entering the URL, so it will take some time to load the youtube.com. Then it will find this particular text box, that is a search text box, and it will enter the tester stock, and it will press the enter from the keyboard, and it will wait for some time, and finally it will close the browser, right? So another one command I will use it here. Here I'll use the driver object. I'll simply maximize the browser after opening the Chrome browser. Here I'll say window dot maximize, right? So that's it, guys. Let me close all this stuff. Okay, guys. So let me summarize what we have done so far. We have created a feature file, and which contains 3 steps, which will open the browser and it will enter the URL. Then it will search for the testers talk, right? So this is our feature file. Then we have implemented the feature step definition class. So inside this we have written the Selenium WebDriver code, which will launch the browser. Then it will enter the URL. Then it finds the search text box. Then finally it will close the browser, right? So that's it, guys. Now what you need to do, simply right click on this solution and say build solution. So once build is succeeded, you can go to the test and open the test explorer. So if you come here on the left side, you will see that there is a group called tester stock. So this is the name coming from the feature file. If you go to the feature1.feature, and here I have provided the tag name as a tester stock. So that's the reason there is a one group created called tester stock, and inside this one, so there is a one scenario, and if you see this one, search for tester stock. So this is a scenario name coming up from this particular feature file. So if you look at this scenario name, search for tester stock, right? So this is how it is populated in the test explorer. So that's it. Right click on this tester stock and say run. So it is very simple. So create the feature file and define the step definition class, then execute the scenarios which you wanted to execute it. So it has opened the browser, then it has entered the youtube.com. Now it has to identify the text box and it has to enter the value. So finally it has performed the operation correctly. And if I select this particular scenario, and these are the three steps. First step is given, open the browser, and second step when enter the URL, and third step you can see that search for the tester stock. And you can see on the right side how long this particular step has executed. You can see that 16.9, and the second step took 16.7 seconds, and the third step it took 6.8 seconds, right? So this is how you can create the any feature file, any number of feature files, and you can execute the scenarios based on the feature or based on the tag names, right? So this is all about creating the project and executing the features. So now we will discuss how to generate the Specflow LivingDoc report, right? So what you need to do is, so it has only 3 steps you need to follow and you will get the .html report. So firstly you need to execute this particular command, that is .NET space tool space install and space hyphen global space specflow dot plus dot livingdoc dot CLI. So you need to copy this particular command. I mean, you need to enter this particular command in the command prompt. Go to the command prompt, simply enter this particular command. So in my case, already this particular Specflow command is executed. That means software is already installed in my system. And if you are executing very first time, so you'll see this message. Tool specflow.plus living.cli version 3.9.57 was successfully installed. So when you install first time, you will see this particular message. That means Specflow living.software is installed in your system properly. So this is the first step, and second step is you need to navigate to this particular folder. That is, you need to go to the project folder and followed by the bin and followed by the debug. Inside the debug, there is a one folder called net 6.0. So I'll go to this particular folder now. Bin debug, then net 6.0, right? So here you need to do the cd command, right? You need to do the change directory. So now I'm in this particular directory, right? So that is our second step, right? So we have the last step. So simply copy this command, that is LivingDoc space test hyphen assembly space. So here you need to specify the project name .dll space hyphen t space test execution .json. So this is the command you have to enter, and finally you will see like this command, like this message, your livingdoc.html was successfully generated. So once you get this message, that means your Specflow BDD report is generated. Simply copy this command. So no need to worry about these commands. I will provide all these comments in the description of this below video. Simply I'll copy this command. I'll go to the command prompt and I'll paste it. So here we have to provide project, right? So I will simply copy this project name. So that's it. I'll say enter. And if you look at here, so in this particular location, livingdoc.html was successfully generated. Once you got this message, that means your report is got generated for the Specflow BDD. You can go to that particular location, and here you can click on date modified, right? So this is the last document modified at very recently, right? Simply I'll open this livingdoc.html file, and you will be able to see the whole report, like which feature file executed, how many scenarios are there, how many steps are there, right? So here you will see the two tabs. One is living documentation and second one is analytics. In this living documentation, so you can specifically search for any of the feature files. If I expand this, so if I search for the YouTube, only this particular feature file is coming up. So this is a feature, this is a filter. You can search with the feature name or the scenario name, and you can come to this scenario. There's another filter also, scenario result. So you can select any of these option. If you want to view only past result, only past result will be displayed here. And if I select failed one, there are none actually, right? So simply I'll unselect this one. I will expand these folders, right? Once you select this particular feature file or the scenario, on the right side you will see that details about the feature file. So these details are fetching from your feature file. So this is a feature name we have specified, and we have given the summary for that particular feature file, and we have given the tag name, and followed by the scenario details. That means the scenario name and followed by the steps. So these details are coming up from our feature file. So now I will go to this analytics, and here you will see that how many features are there totally. So we have total 2 features. If you look at this project, we have one feature called calculator, and another one we have the feature one.feature, two feature files. So one is passed, another one is not executed, and there are 0 failures. And if you look at here scenarios, how many scenarios we have? Only one. If you look at the feature file, we have the only one scenario here, right? So similarly, if you come here in the steps, so this is a feature section, this is a scenario section. That means at the scenario level you can view the result, and the third section we have the steps level, how many steps are there in that particular scenario. So we had only one scenario, that particular scenario contains 3 steps. If you look at this one feature file, we have the only 3 steps. So now what I will do is, let us try to add the same scenario once again, right? So that means I will simply execute this particular scenario. I'll say test2. So simply I'll modify the scenario name. So simply I have specified the scenario name as testers talk to. So that's it. I will simply go to the, I'll simply build this project. So at high level, so these are the 3 sections you can verify the result at the feature level and scenario level and steps level. So now we are executing our feature file which has the 2 scenarios, right? So let me go to the test explorer, and if you see here, there are 2 scenarios belong to the tester stock because we have represented these 2 scenarios with the @tester stock as the tag name. So I will simply execute this particular group. That means the tag name, by tag name we are executing the automation scripts. So our first script got executed, that means of one scenario got executed. Now the second scenario is getting executed. So that's it. So whenever you need a new report, you need to always execute this particular command, right? So we'll execute the same command once again, and once we see this message, right, so report got generated successfully, I will come here and I will refresh this. If you see here in the living documentation, there are 2 scenarios under this particular feature. So if you selected this particular feature, and you will see that these are the first, this is the first scenario and this is a second scenario. And if I go to the analytics and number of scenarios, you will see that two scenarios got executed, and the number of steps, you will see that 6, because in this particular feature file there are 6 steps. So this is how you can create the Specflow BDD automation framework from the scratch, and you can try the same thing in your system and let me know if you are having any issues or any queries. You can comment in the comment section, and thanks for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakappa. In this Specflow Selenium C tutorial series, I'll discuss what are hooks in Specflow Selenium C. Then finally, I will discuss how to implement hooks in Specflow Selenium C. Let me talk about what are hooks in Specflow Selenium C. You might have seen the preconditions in the manual test cases. For example, creating the test data or generating the test data, or maybe logging into the application. So these type of scenarios will be the preconditions in the manual test case. Similarly, in the automation testing, if you want to implement those preconditions, so you will be using the hooks. So let us discuss few important hooks in the Specflow Selenium C. So first set of hooks we have is before feature and after feature. So in the first hooks, that is a before feature. So this code will be get executed before executing any of the feature in your automation framework. And the second one we are having after feature, and whatever the code you have written in this after feature hooks, so this will be executed after executing any of the feature file. And next we have before scenario and after scenario. So before executing any scenario in your feature file, so this particular before scenario block will be get executed. And next we have the fourth one is after scenario. So this code will be executed after executing any of the scenario in your feature files. For example, if you want to launch the browser before executing any of the scenario, in that case you can write that code inside the before scenario. And if you want to close the browser after executing the scenario, you can write that code in after scenario. Basically, if you are implementing the hooks in Specflow BDD automation framework, you can avoid writing the duplicate code, and also you can save the execution time basically. And if you take the example for before feature and after feature, only one time you want to launch the browser, and that's a before feature where you are launching the browser and executing all the scenarios in that particular feature file, and at the end if you want to close the browser you can use the after feature hooks, right? So basically based on the need you can implement your hooks in your automation framework. So next we have before scenario tag based. So this hook will be get executed based on the tag name. So for example, you can represent any scenario by using the tag name, right? So before executing that particular scenario, you wanted to execute some preconditions, right? So that type of test cases you can implement by using the before scenario tag based. And next we have before step and after step. Basically this type of hooks will be used in the reporting part, because whenever I'm executing that particular step, so I need to log it in the report. So these things, for example, before feature and after feature, and before step and after step, and next we have before test run and after test run. So these hooks we will use it in the next tutorial while working with the extent report. I mean, while generating the extent report, we will be basically using the before feature and after feature, and before step and after step, and before test run and after test run. So these are the couple of hooks we'll be using it in the next tutorial while implementing the extent report. So now let us implement before scenario, after scenario, and before scenario tag based. So these are the three hooks we will be implementing in this tutorial. So let us jump to the next slide. You can go to my GitHub page and you'll get all the code, whatever I'm discussing in the Specflow Selenium C tutorial series. Basically, you can go to this particular GitHub page and you can clone it by using this link. And you can come down in this page and you'll find all the content what I'm covering for this Specflow Selenium C tutorial series. So let us discuss the implementation part now. So what we are going to do it in the couple of minutes. So we'll create a hooks class, and inside the hooks class we'll define the one parameterized constructor, that is it will accept the iObject container. And once it got this particular object, container object, by using this container object we are going to launch the browser in the precondition. That means before invoking any scenario we are launching the browser, that we have written in the hooks, that is by using the before scenario, and inside this we have written the code for launching the browser, and it will maximize the browser. And after that by using the container object, and it will register the instance as iWebDriver, and inside this you can see that we have passed this particular driver inside the register instance as, right? And finally we are closing the browser, and that is inside the after scenario. So here we are getting the driver by using the container object, and we are calling to the resolve method, and this is a generic type what we are specified. And by using this driver object we are going to close the browser. So basically we are launching the browser, that is in the hooks, and we are performing all the validations in the scenario. Then finally after executing the scenario we are closing the browser, right? So now I will go to the IDE. Let's implement this hooks in the our framework. So I'll quickly create the folder. I'll say add and new folder. Here I'll say hooks. So inside the hooks folder I will add the one class. I'll say new item, So here you can select the Specflow on the left side, and here you will see that Specflow hooks. So you can click on this and you can specify the hooks name. So in my case, I'm specifying the class name as hooks, and I'll say add it. So that's it, right? So we have opened the hooks class. Let me clean this class firstly, and then we'll start implementing the code for launching the browser and closing the browser from the hooks. So in the last tutorial, we have discussed how to do it in the step definitions, right? So in this tutorial, we'll discuss how to maintain and manage the driver from the hooks. Basically, this will reduce the duplicate code and it saves the execution time as well. So firstly, I will implement the constructor, that is public, then followed by the hooks class name. Then here I'll specify all I object, I object container. Here I'll say container. So that's it. So we have defined the constructor, and before that I will just simply import it. So you can say using BODI. That's it. So similarly, I will define one internal reference variable, that is I'll say read only, because we are performing just read only by using this I object container. So that's it, guys. So we have created the one parameters constructor. So inside this, after getting the container object, we have to assign this to the our internal variable, that is underscore container reference variable. Simply I'll copy this and here I'll say container. So that's it. Our I object container is ready right now, right? So by using this container, we have to come to the before scenario. So this is a tag based, and coming to the line number 23. So this is a before scenario, right? So as of now, don't worry about this order and all. So this is a priority. So we'll discuss in the upcoming tutorials. So what we will do. So I'll go to the step definition. That's feature 1 step definition. So here I have written this particular code, that is launching the browser in the open the browser step, right? So I will comment these 2 lines. Let me comment these 2 lines. Then so what I will do, so we have to implement this code in the our hooks, right? So I'll go back to the hooks class, and here I'll say so that's it. And here I'll assign back to the iWebDriver. Now you can import this iWebDriver from the Selenium. Right? So after importing it, so we have to use the iObject container reference variable. By using this, we can store this particular driver object, right? So I will use underscore container reference variable. So inside the before scenario hooks, I'll say registered instance as simply iWebDriver, and I'll pass this particular driver object into the registered instance method. So this is nothing but we have created the browser and we have launched the browser, and after that we have registered into this particular method. So this code will launch us the browser, and then next, after executing the scenario, we have to close the browser. So now we have to implement the logic to get this particular driver object, right? So I'll go here and here I'll say underscore container, and I'll say I'll use the underscore container object, and then here I'll say resolve, and I'll pass the generic type, that is iWebDriver, and that's it. I will assign back to the var, and I'll say driver. So that's it. So once we got the driver, So this is a way for registering the driver. That means you can store the driver, and this is how you can get the driver by using the resolve method. And here we are having the driver object, right? Here I'll check if driver is not null. If driver is not null, then only close the browser, right? So that's it. So if browser is open, then only close it. So this is what the condition I have written here. So that's it, guys. So we have created our hooks class. So inside this we have implemented the before hooks scenario and after hooks scenario, right? So let us go to the our feature file. So this is a feature file. So what we are doing is, in the first step we are opening the browser and we have commented this particular lines launching the browser, and in the second step we are doing, we are entering the URL, and in the third step we are searching for tester stock, and then finally we are closing the browser. So let us go to this particular step and we will comment the closing the browser because we have already implemented the code in the hooks, right? So this is how you can navigate between your step definition class and feature file. So you can right click on this particular feature class, sorry, feature file, and you can say go to definition. So directly it went to this particular step, right? So you can come down. So this is where we are closing the browser, right? I'll comment this part, all right? So in the first step we are not doing anything. So this code is implemented in the hooks, and then finally comes to the second step. Then it enters this URL, and again it will searches for the tester stock, and again it goes back to the this after scenario, and it will close the browser, right? So you can add n number of scenario in this particular feature file. So it will always opens the browser and closes the browser from this particular hooks. Only logic you can implement in your scenarios. No need to write a code for launching the browser and closing the browser every time in your step definition class, right? So basically it will saves the time when it comes to the execution, and also it reduces the duplicate code in your automation framework. So now the thing is, we have implemented our hooks here, launching the browser and closing the browser, and we have to write in logic how we can get this particular driver object in our step definition class, right? So for that, what you need to do is, it's very simple. Come here and you need to define the constructor which will accept the driver object. So here I'll say public, then this will accept iWeb driver, that means the driver object, right? So here it will accept, I'll say this dot driver. So I'll accept this driver object and I'll assign to this particular internal driver variable, right? So I'll say this dot driver. So that's it. So what happens, let me summarize how the execution will happens with respect to the implemented hooks. So when execution is started for this particular scenario, right? So it comes to this particular class, hooks class, and it will execute whatever you have written in this before scenario. That means we have written the code for launching the browser, and it will maximize the browser. Then it goes back to this particular scenario execution. It will execute all this scenario, and again it comes back to this hooks. And after executing this scenario, it will close the browser, coming to this particular hooks, that is after scenario. So let me build this particular solution now. So it is very easy, guys. So you are specifying the precondition scenario in your hooks. That's it, in a simple way. So let me go to the test explorer now. So let me start the execution. So this will launch the browser, and so if you look at this one, and it is entering the youtube.com. And it is searching for the testers talk. Then it will wait for some time and it will close the browser, right? And our test is passing, right? So this is how you can implement the couple of hooks in the Specflow Selenium C# automation framework. Now let us discuss how to implement tag-based hooks. So this is nothing but, for example, I will go to the feature file, that is feature1.feature file. So here I have surrounded this scenario with the @testers stock. So for example, if I wanted to create the test data before executing this particular scenario, right? So if you are having that type of need, simply you can use this particular tag name surrounded with the scenario, and you can go to the hooks class, and here you need to define the hooks like this. So before scenario and follow inside this, you can specify the parameter as a tag name of the scenario. So that's it. And just for demo purpose, I will write console dot write line. So inside this, simply I'll print something running inside tag hooks in Specflow. So that's it. So this is how you can implement the tag based hooks. So let us execute the scenario, same scenario again. I will go to the test explorer, then I will run this particular scenario. So this time it will execute the tagged hooks because we have specified the same name as the tag name, which is there in our feature file. So it has launched the browser now. Then it is searching for the tester stock. Then it will wait for some time and it will close the browser. Great, it is working fine. And if you come here in the console output, right? So whatever the message I have written inside the tag hooks, it is printing here. That means whatever the tag name I have specified inside this feature file, that for the scenario, this one and this hook's tag name is matching. So that's the reason this code block got executed. Right? So if it is matching, then only this code block will be get executed. Otherwise, it will not get executed. Let's say, let me remove this particular thing. So now we are having different tag names inside the feature1.feature file. So this has a different tag name, and inside the hooks also it is a different tag name. Now this code block will not get executed, right? Because so basically the tag names are not matching. So this is how we can implement your tag based hooks. Let's execute once again, and this should not execute, right? So let's see the output after executing. So basically that name itself says that execute this particular code block before that particular tag name. So it is searching for the tester stock in the YouTube. Then simply it is closing the browser. And if you look at in this console output, so tag based hooks is not got executed because tag names are not matching. So that's all I'm having in this session. So we will implement all the hooks in the next tutorial. That means while implementing the extent report, we will discuss all other hooks in the Specflow. You can try this in your system and let me know if you are having any issues or queries. You can comment in the comment section, and also you can subscribe to this channel to get the more updates. And thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakapa. In this Specflow Selenium C tutorial series, I will discuss how to implement extent report with Specflow Selenium C. So let's see step by step what we are going to do it in a couple of minutes. Firstly, we will discuss how to install extent report in Specflow Selenium C#. Next, we will create a test results folder. Then we will create extent report utility class. Then we will see how to implement hooks in Specflow Selenium C#. So basically, we are using extent report in the hooks. By using that, we are going to create the logs in the extent report. Then finally, we will execute the feature file and we will verify the extent report in the format of HTML report. You can find all the code. So whatever I'm discussing in the Specflow Selenium C tutorial series, you can go to my GitHub page and you will find all the code here. You can go to my GitHub page here in the browser. Over here you will see the repositories section and you can go to Specflow BDD automation framework. So you can clone it by copying this particular URL, and also in the readme.md file you'll find the content what I'm covering for the Specflow Selenium C tutorial series. So let us jump to the Visual Studio IDE now. Firstly, we will install extend report, then we'll start writing the code. So firstly, I will install the extend report. You can go to the project and right click on the dependencies and you say here manage NuGet packages, and here you search for the extend report. So it is loading. So let's wait for a few seconds. So it is loading all the packages. So here you can type extend report and you can select this one, extend reports, and here I'm using the 4.1.0 version and you can click on install. And you can simply say OK and I accept. So that's it, and here you can see that uninstall. So that means it is got installed now. You can close this window and you can verify whether extend report is installed or not. You can click on dependencies and under the package you should be able to see the extend reports, whatever the version you have installed. So that's it. So firstly we have installed the extend report. Now let's create the test results folder in the project. You can go to your project folder and you can create the one folder called test results. So that's it. So we are done with two things. We have installed the extend report and we have created the test results folder. Now we have to create the utility class. So before we create the utility class, I will add the one folder inside this project. Here I'll specify the folder name as utility. So inside the utility, I'm creating a class called extend report. Here I'm just specifying the class name as extend report and add it. So that's it, guys. So you can open this class, extend report class. So here I'm making this class as a public. So that's it. So let me copy this code. I will explain each line in this code in this class. So I'll paste it here. So that's it. So let us import the extend report classes by using the using statement. You can click on show potential fixes, and here you can use you can simply select the event stack dot extend reports. Then if you come down, you can also import the related packages for this one also, extend HTML reporter from the event stack dot extend reports dot reporter. And similarly you can import the theme dot standard. Don't worry about the code, I will explain every line in this class. So that's it, guys. So this class is fine, there are no errors, right? So what I have done is I have created a class called extend reports. So inside this I have created the reference variable for the extend reports, and this is where by using this one only we are going to generate the final .html report. And down you can see that extend test with the underscore feature, and similarly extend test underscore scenario. For all the feature file, so there is a one hierarchy. if you look at this feature file, so it has the future. So inside the future there is a scenario. Under that scenario we have the steps. So that's the reason first we have to log this particular feature name, and then we have to log the scenario, which scenario we are going to execute it, right? So that's the reason I have created the two reference variable for the extent test, right? So that's it. And here I'm getting the directory of the current project, and after that simply I'm replacing this particular path with the test results. So this is the folder what we have created just now. So inside the current project, so there is a folder called test results. Inside this we are going to generate our report. So we are using this particular path of the folder in this particular object, that is extend HTML reporter. And after that, coming to the extend report init method. So here I have created the object of extend HTML reporter. Inside this I have given the path where I need to generate the .html report. By using this object, that is extend HTML reporter, I'm setting the couple of values here. That is a report name, what I wanted to display on the report name, then document title, and here I'm setting the color, which color that report should be displayed with. After that, simply I'm starting that particular object. So this is an object, extend HTML reporter. So simply I'm building that object. That's it, by setting the couple of values, that is a report name, document title, and the color. Then coming to the next line, that is line number 29. Here I have created an object of extend reports. By using this extend report, I'm attaching the reporter. So whatever the object here we have built it, right? So this particular object I'm passing on to the attach reporter. And after that I'm setting a couple of configurations. So these are the hard-coded values currently. You can specify these values, application name, browser, OS. So these values you can get it from the config file or the runtime, right? So that's it, guys. It is very simple. So this is where we have implemented where we have to generate the extend report in the format of HTML. Then we have configured a couple of values, right? After that, I have created another method called extend report teardown. So here I'm using the underscore extend reports object. Basically this object I'm using it and I'm flushing it. That means I'm pushing all the whatever the logs we have created into the HTML report. So that's it. So it is very simple. It is self-explanatory as well, right? So that's all about the extend report. Now we will go to the hooks class, and here let me just delete all these empty lines. So that's it, guys. So we are done with implementing the extend report class. Now we have to implement the hooks class, right? So I will go to this my notes and simply I will copy these methods and I'll paste it after the constructor. So that's it, guys. So what I will do, right? So in this class, in the hooks class, I will inherit the extend report, whatever the class we have created just now. I'm inheriting that class extend report, and you can say Specflow BTD automation framework utility. So our class is exist under this particular folder, utility folder, right? You can select this one. So that's it. So here I have pasted three hooks, that is a before test run, after test run, and before future and after future. So inside the after future I have not written any code, just I'm printing in the console by using the console.writeLine. So saying that I'm inside this particular after future. So before this, let us import the future Gherkin keyword from the extend report. You can import it from event stack.extendReports.Gherkin.model. So let me go to the first hooks, that is a before test. Right, simply I'm printing that running before test run, and after that here I'm calling the method called extend report init. So here we have defined where to generate the extend report and we have configured some of the configuration values like application, browser, and OS, right? So if you go to this extend report, so this is where we have implemented this method. So simply I'm calling this method in the before test run, right? And then next we have the after test run. So in this method, in this hooks, so I'm calling to the another method, that is the extend report tear down. So if you go to this extend report class, so there is another second method called extend report tear down. So simply we are flushing the created logs into the HTML report. So that's it. So we know what exactly before test run and after test runs are doing here. Then next is before future. So in these hooks, so here I have taken the future context reference variable. By using this future context reference variable, we can get the future name basically. So what I have done here, I'm using the extend reports object and I'm calling to the method called create test. And here I have provided the Gherkin keyword called future, because in this hooks, that is a before future, so we are saying this is a future name. So under this we are getting the future name by using the future context, and I'm calling to the one future information info, then under that there is a title. So this will returns me the title of the any future file. So this particular value will be returned in the before future whenever we call to this particular title. Once we got the title of the future, then we are going to create a log in the extend report by using the create test. And after creating the create test, we are assigning to the underscore future. So this is the extend test what we have seen in the extend report, right? So here I have created two reference variable of extend test. So firstly I'm creating the future name and I'm assigning back to the underscore future. By using this one, if I go to the next one, so let me go to the hooks class. So after creating a test with the future name, then we are assigning to the underscore future. So we will see in the next hooks how we are using this particular underscore future extend test object, right? So that's it. Let me copy another set of code. Now I will copy this one and I will paste it under the before scenario. So that's it, guys. So after creating the future in the before future hooks, that means we are creating a log for the this particular future name and we are assigning to the underscore future. By using this object, extend test object, here I'm creating a one node with the scenario and here I'm passing the scenario name. By using the scenario context, we can get the scenario name. That's the this particular name we can get it by using the scenario context dot scenario info dot title. So this will return me the scenario name and it assigns back to the underscore scenario, right? So that's it, guys. So further, firstly we have created a test by using the extend reports and we have assigned back to the future. By using this particular underscore future, we have created a node with the scenario. So under this particular scenario only we have to write all our steps, that is a given and the step name, and followed by the second step Gherkin keyword and followed by the step name, and third step we have then keyword Gherkin keyword then followed by the step name, right? We have already created the future and with the future title, and we have created a scenario with the scenario name, right, in this particular before scenario. So that's it. So we have the last block of code that is for reporting purpose, whether that particular step is passing or failing, so that we have to write it in the HTML report, right? So that's the reason I have used a after step. So let me copy this one. So I'll go and paste it. So it is very easy, guys. What I have done is I have used the scenario context. By using that, we are getting the step type. That means by using that particular information scenario context, we are reading the we are calling to the method called step context and step info then followed by the step definition type. So after that we are converting into the string. So this particular line returns me the type of the Gherkin keyword that particular step has. So we are trying to read this particular Gherkin keyword by using the line number 80 that we are assigning to the step type. And similarly, by using this context variable, scenario context variable, and I'm calling to the step context, and after that step information and text. So this will return me the step name, right? So right now we are having the step type and the step name. So by using this one, we have to decide whether it is failing that particular step or whether this particular step is passing. So that we have to identify, right? So by using this scenario context, right? Here I'm using the if condition. I'm checking whether is there any test error is equal to null. That means if this particular test error is having null, that means this particular step is passed. So simply what I'm doing is, right, inside this if loop, sorry, if condition, I'm checking the if step type. If is equal to given, simply create the node by using the scenario. As I said, so it is a hierarchy. First we have created an underscore feature, and by using the underscore feature we have created a node. Inside that node we have assigned back to the scenario. By using the scenario we are creating the step names, right? So if you look at this hierarchy, first we have the feature, then scenario, then step. So now we are trying to read this particular step and we are going to create the logs in the extend report, right? So that's it. So similarly, simply we are checking the step type is equal to given. Simply create the node with the given and pass the step name. So that's it. Similarly, we have created for when and then. So that's it. So this code will get execute when that particular scenario step is passing. And similarly, so we have to write the logs when the scenario is failing, right? So here we are checking scenario context and test error is not equal to null. That means whenever the test step is failing, so that definitely this test error will be having the some information. That means the exception information, right? So again, we are checking the step type is equal to given, and here we are going to create the node and we are passing the step name, and followed by that we are calling to the method called fail. Inside this we are passing the stack trace information, why that particular step is failing, right? So basically this will get executed whenever step is getting failed or a scenario is getting failed. So we are marking that particular step as failed and we are passing the required information why it is getting failed. So similarly we have repeated this for the when and given. So that's it, guys. So we have implemented the hooks also. So let me summarize what we have done so far. So we have installed the extend report firstly, then we have created the test results folder, then third thing we have created the extend report utility class, then fourth thing we have done the creating the hooks, right? So now we have to execute the future file, right? So what I will do, simply I will build this particular solution now. So after building the solution, I will go to the test explorer, then I will run this particular scenario, first scenario. So firstly we will execute the one scenario, then we'll trigger this whole group, that means tester stock, that means it is having two scenarios. So now it has opened the Chrome browser and also it has entered the URL, and it will search for the testerstalk.com, then simply it will close the browser, right? So it is saying it is no such element found exception. Let me go to this feature file, let me navigate to the step. So I might have updated this element, so let me correct it. So that's it. Let me re-execute the same scenario and this time it should work fine. So now the browser got opened and it is entering the URL. Then basically it has to find the search text box, then it has to enter the tester stock, then it has to press the enter, then it is closing the browser. So that's it, guys. So scenario is working fine, right? Let me go to our folder, test results folder. Let me open this one. So here you can see that index.html report got generated. Let me refresh it and open index.html report. And if you look at this one, so it has logged the property. This is a feature name, and if you look at this one, verify YouTube search feature, and coming to the scenario. So you can click on this particular scenario and you will see the steps. How many steps are there inside this particular scenario? And this is a scenario name, guys. Search for tester stock, and same thing you should be able to see in the search for tester stock, right? And after that you will see the 3 steps. Given, open the browser, and the same thing you should be able to see here. Given, open the browser, and then when, enter the URL, and when enter the URL, then search for tester stock, and same thing you should be able to see here, then search for tester stock, right? So what we will do now, you can still explore this particular extent report after generating it, and if you click on this one test, you will get all the features. If you are having 10 features, all the 10 features will be listed here, and if you click on this dashboard, and you should be able to see the all the information. So let me refresh this one, it is not loaded properly. Let me open this report with the Edge browser. So I think it is taking some time. So let's wait for some time, and we will refresh this page once again. And I will close this report once again. So if you look at this one, right? So we have the 3 sections. One is feature, and second one is scenario, and third one is steps, right? And here you can see that how many features are passed. So in our case, only one feature we had, so that is got passed. And in this scenario section, we had only one scenario that is got passed, and the scenario steps section. So we had 3 steps. If you look at this feature file, so we have the 3 steps, right? So the same thing is logged here. And also here you can see that number of feature files and number of scenarios here also count. And here you can see the start time and how long this took for execution. Totally it took 20 seconds. Approximately it took the 21 seconds, right? If you come down, here you can see the environment details. Here you can see the application, browser, and OS. So these are the hard-coded values what we have passed in the extent report. If you go to this report, this class, extent report class, so here we have hard-coded these values. So you can get these values at the runtime from the configuration files or the Excel file or the JSON files. So let us execute this time two scenario, both the scenario. So let me execute this whole group, testers stock group. So it has the total 2 scenarios. Simply I'll close this report now. So both the scenario should be logged in, both the scenario should be logged in into the extent report now. So this time it will be one feature file, and number of scenarios will be 2, and number of steps will be 6. Right? So if you look at the feature file, right? So we had the 2 scenario and 6 steps. So same thing should be created in the form of logs in the HTML report. If you look at this console output, both the tests are getting passed. If I open the feature1.feature file, so it has first scenario and first scenario, then second scenario. There are 2 scenarios. This is the one feature file and 3 steps and 3 steps. So it will be total 6 steps. Let me refresh this page. Then we'll reopen the index.html report. So if you look at this particular report, right? So it is basically written the feature name, and here you can see that there are 2 scenarios. If you click on the first scenario, it will list out all the steps what are there in this particular scenario, and if you click on the second scenario, it will list out all the steps which are there inside this particular scenario, right? If you go to this dashboard also, and in this dashboard you can see that one feature file and there are 2 scenarios got passed and 6 steps. And also as usual, it is having a start time and it took for almost 43 seconds, and same thing. So this is how you can generate the extent report in Specflow Selenium C#. So what I will do, so far we have executed the happy path flow. Now intentionally I will fail the one of the scenario, right? I will simply go to this last step in the first scenario. I will right click on this step and I'll say go to definition. I will simply remove this particular. Yes. So that means after opening the browser and it will enter the URL, then it is unable to identify this particular element for entering the tester stock in the search text box, right? Eventually this scenario will get failed and we have to see whether this particular scenario is getting failed in the extent report. I will go to the test explorer now and I will execute the first scenario. So it has opened the browser and it is entering the URL. Then it will fail to identify the search text box. And if you look at this particular test also, so it is failing with the reason no such element found, unable to locate the element, right? So again I will go back to this page. I will open the index.html report. I will close the earlier one. And if you see here, so this feature got failed. And if you click on the scenario, so first two steps are working fine. It is opening the browser and it is entering the URL. Then in the step search for the test stock, it is failed with the reason no such element, unable to locate the element, and it is giving you the selector what you have used and what is the value you have passed for that one. So this is how we can create the or generate the extent report in Specflow Selenium C# automation framework. You can try same thing in your system, and if you are having any queries or issues, you can comment in the comment section. And please subscribe to this particular channel to get the more updates on software testing. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakappa. So far I have discussed in the first tutorial how to install Specflow and how to create Specflow project, and also I have discussed how to create feature files, step definition class, then finally we have executed the feature file, and also we have generated the LivingDoc.html report. In the second tutorial I have discussed what are hooks and how to implement hooks in Specflow Selenium C#. In the third tutorial, I have discussed how to install extent report in Specflow Selenium C#, and also I have discussed how to implement extent report in Specflow Selenium C#. In this tutorial, I will discuss how to add the screenshot into extent report when test script is failed. So now I will go to the Visual Studio IDE. So firstly, we will write the code for capturing the screenshot. Then later we will add the code for adding the screenshot into the extent report. So here in the right side solution explorer, I will go to the utility folder. I will open the extent report class. So here we will implement the code for capturing the screenshot of the screen. So here I'm writing the method called add screenshot. Here I'm specifying the return type of this method is string. So finally this method will returns the location of the screenshot. So here I'm specifying the method name as add screenshot. So this will accept two parameters. One is driver. By using the WebDriver object, we can take the control of the web page and we can capture the screenshot. And second parameter is scenario context. By using that, we can get the scenario name, so that I can provide the screenshot name as the scenario name. So here I'm writing iWebDriver and driver. This is the first parameter, and the second parameter is scenario context. So by using this reference variable, we can get the scenario name from the feature file. So that's it. So simply I'll write the return statement. I'll say empty. So as of now I'll provide the empty string. So later we can return the location of the screenshot. To capture the screenshot, we have to firstly cache this particular driver object to the I take screenshot. So here I'll write, sorry. So here I'm writing the code. Here I'm taking this driver object and converting this to the I takes screenshot. So here I'll pass the driver. Then I will assign back to the I takes screenshot reference variable. So that's it. So by taking the reference variable of I takes screenshot, I will call to the method called get screenshot. So this returns me the screenshot. And the return type of this particular method is screenshot type. So we have to store this into the screenshot type. So that's it. So this method will capture the screenshot. By using this screenshot reference variable, we have to save the screenshot, right? So before we saving the screenshot, we have to identify the location where we have to store the screenshot. So already if I go above, so here this particular variable test result path. So this is the test result path contains the location of the test results, right? So this is where we are generating the extend report. In the same place we will add the screenshot. So I will use this variable, and before we save the screenshot, so we will provide the proper name to the screenshot by using the path dot, I'll call the method called combine. So here I'm combining the test result path, that is the test result this particular location, and I'm adding the scenario name. At the end I'll provide the what is the format of the image we wanted to store it. So inside this I will pass test result path. I'm passing the location of the extent report, and followed by so I will use the reference variable of scenario context. So here I'm basically forming the screenshot name and the location. So by using this scenario context, I can get the scenario name. So whenever any script is getting failed, any scenario is getting failed, we will provide the scenario name as the screenshot name, right? So here I'm calling to the method called scenario info. So under this there is a title. So this returns me the scenario name. Whenever any of the scenario is getting executed, so whatever the current scenario is executing, so this title returns me that scenario name. So that's it. Then I'll pad .png. So we are capturing the screenshot in the format of png. Then if you see at the end, right, so return type of this particular combine method is string type. So I'll assign back to the string. Here I'll say screenshot location. So this test result path contains the test result folder location, and after that I'm passing the scenario name. At the end I'm passing the extension as .png. That's it. So this particular variable screenshot location holds the exact path of the screenshot with the name, right? So now what I will do by using this screenshot reference variable, and I will save the file. So simply I'll pass this screenshot location, and followed by I will mention the format, in which format I wanted to store the image. So here you can call to the one enum. Here you can use whatever the format you want. In my case I will use the .png format. You can go ahead and use the JPEG as well. So that's it, guys. So finally I will return the screenshot location variable. So it's very simple. So let me explain one more time what I have done so far. Here I'm typecasting the driver object to the I take screenshot, and by using this reference variable I'm calling to the get screenshot. So this method will capture the screenshot of the web page, and after that in the line number 47 we are saving this particular screenshot in this particular location. So this is the screenshot location what we are what we have written, line number 46 is for, right? At the end we are returning the screenshot location. So that's it. So we have written the method to capture the screenshot, and that returns the path where exactly we have stored the screenshot. So before we go ahead and add, or before we go ahead and call this particular method in the hooks, right? So we will make sure that one scenario is getting failed. I will go to the test explorer and I will execute this scenario. We will check whether it is passing or failing. So if it is passing, we'll fail it intentionally so that we can capture the screenshot. First we'll test this part, how to capture the screenshot. Then next I will discuss how to add that particular screenshot into the extent report. So I think this scenario is working fine. So I will go to this particular feature, and from the feature I will go to the step and I will modify some locator value. Then that time it will fail this particular scenario. So I will right click on this and I will say go to test, and it goes to the feature file. So I will go to this particular step implementation. So if you wanted to go to step implementation, simply click on this step and you say here go to definition. So here I will just remove s from here so that this XPath value will be not matching and it will fail the script, right? Again, I will go back to the test explorer. I will execute this scenario. So this is an invalid XPath, right? So now I will go to the hooks class and I will come down. So here there is an attribute, that's a hooks attribute called after step. So inside this we have the two blocks. So this block will be get executed when step is passing. If you look at this one, line number 84 comment, and if I come down, line number 105. So this set of code will get executed when step is failing, right? So firstly we will verify whether add screenshot method is capable of taking the screenshot or not. So whenever step is failed, simply it comes inside this one. So here I will call that method add screenshot. So this is accepting two types of parameter. One is driver, another one is scenario context. So already scenario context reference variable is present in this particular method, in this attribute after step. So if you look at here, so already this reference scenario context reference variable is present. So directly I'm passing this one. And I need to pass a driver object, right? So for passing the driver object, you can simply copy this line number 69. So this is how you can get the driver anywhere you want. So I'll paste it here. That's it, right? So in the line number 110, we have called the add screenshot method. Basically what it does, whenever scenario is getting failed, and it will simply capture the screenshot. Still we have not added screenshot into the extent report, right? So we will verify first whether it is capturing the screenshot or not when scenario is failed. So I will rerun the same scenario now. So right now inside this test results folder, we don't have the screenshot added. And after the execution of this scenario, one screenshot should be present with the scenario name. Right, if you look at here on the right side in the solution explorer, under test results, there is a one screenshot present, right? I will go to this test results folder. I'll say open folder in file explorer. And if you look at this one, report also generated now and also screenshot also added. Just simply I'll open this screenshot. So we are able to capture the screenshot successfully, right? So now the part is how to add the screenshot into the extent report, or how to attach screenshot into the extent report, right? So let's go ahead and add the one line of code, and that will add the screenshot into the extent report. I will go again back to the hooks class. So this part will be get executed whenever the scenario step is getting failed, right? So if I come to the line number 140, right? So here we are creating the node, whatever the based on the step type, even in the 118 line number and 122 and as well as 126. So based on the step type, we are creating the node, and after that we are adding the step name. Then we are adding the some error messages whenever the scenario is getting failed, right? Similar way. So we have to also add the screenshot. So for this fail method only, we can pass another attribute. So that's a media entity builder. So under this particular class, there is a method called create screenshot, screen capture from base64 string, and there is another method called create screen capture from path. So basically, we have the return a method which will return us the location of the screenshot. So that's the reason. So we are adding the screenshot from the path. So that's the reason I'm selecting the second method, create screen capture from path. So here we have to call the same method. So simply I'll cut this particular method now and I'll paste it inside this one. So that's it. I'll come again right side. And at the end, you need to call to the one method called build. So that's it. So this code will get executed whenever the step contains the given keyword. So similarly, I will copy this part and I'll paste it for the other step types. That is when, then, and as well. So similarly, I'll add the media entity builder. So that's it. That's it, guys. So we are fine with the code. So it is very simple. So inside the fail method, so it is capable of accepting the two types of argument. One is the error message and the next one is a screenshot. So that it will add the error message after failing it. It will add the error message and also screenshot to the extend report. So that's only this much we have to do it in the after step attribute in the hooks class. That's it, guys. So let us execute the script once again. Now this time, before I execute this particular scenario, let me delete this particular screenshot. I will just close this session. I'll go back to this test results folder. I'll simply delete this screenshot so that it will capture the new screenshot and it will add to the extend report. So I will simply refresh once. Now I will execute this scenario. So now there is no screenshot inside the test results folder. And eventually it will create the screenshot and also it will add the screenshot into the extend report when script got failed. So here the script will be unable to find the element. And if you look at here in the test results folder, so screenshot is also created, and we'll open this extend report and we will verify whether screenshot is added into the extend report or not. So I will open the extend report now. So if you look at this one, so feature is already failed, and I will click on the scenario. And if I come to the step number 3, right? Here it has added the error information, what reason this particular step is failing. And also at the end, if you look at this one, you can click on this one. So it has added the screenshot also. So this is how you can capture the screenshot in Specflow Selenium C Sharp, and also this is how you can add the screenshot into the extent report in Specflow Selenium C Sharp. So same scenario you can try at your end and let me know if you face any issues or queries. If you are having any queries as well, you can comment in the comment section. In the next tutorial I will cover how to perform the data-driven testing in Specflow Selenium C Sharp. If you like this video, click on like button and also subscribe to this particular channel. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakapa. In this Specflow Selenium C Sharp tutorial series, I will discuss how to perform the data-driven testing in Specflow Selenium C Sharp. So there are multiple ways we can perform the data-driven testing in Specflow Selenium C Sharp. The first way is we can pass the test data in the step level, and the second way is we can pass the test data from the by using the examples keyword, and also we can use the data tables there, right? So in this tutorial I will discuss how to pass the test data from the step level. I will navigate to the Visual Studio now. I will open the feature1.feature file. So in this scenario what we are doing is in the line number 7 we are opening the browser. So currently this code is written in the hooks, so we are not doing anything in this particular step. The line number 8 we are entering the URL, and in the line number 9 we are searching for the test doc in the youtube.com. So that's it. Then finally we are closing the browser from the hooks. So if I go to this particular step definition, and this particular value is hard coded in the test script class, right? So how we can pass this particular test data from the scenario, that means the step level, how we can pass this particular test data from the step level, right, from the steps basically. So we'll discuss this part. So what I will do, we will create the new feature file, and then we will implement the logic for passing the test data from the scenario steps. I will create the one new feature file. I will select the Specflow on the left side. After selecting the Specflow, you will see the feature file for Specflow, and here you can provide the feature file name. Here I'm providing data-driven testing dot feature. Then add it. So once you got the feature file, so simply I will go to the feature1.feature file. I'll copy the first scenario into the data-driven testing feature file. So here I'll modify the feature name as data-driven testing, and I will use the same name for the scenario as well. Then I will keep the two steps, that is a line number 7 and 8 as it is. Then I will create the new step for the line number 9, right? So I will delete this last part. Then I will parameterize test data by writing in a single quotes. Here I will write testers talk by Bakappa. So that's it. If you look at the step first, that is a given, open the browser, and step number 2 when enter the URL. These two steps are already implemented in the feature1 step definitions class, but the third step is not yet implemented. If you look at this, then, and also you can see this particular thing here, right? So now we have to implement this third step. So I will create another step definition class for this thing. I will copy the feature1 step definition class and I'll paste it inside the step definitions folder. Then I will rename the class as data driven testing step definitions. Then simply I will remove the hyphen copy as well. .cs. I will open the data driven testing step definition class and I will delete all the steps which are not required. Then after that I will specify the class name as data-driven testing step definitions. Then similarly I will specify the constructor name as class name. So that's it. So we have the one driver variable, that is a web driver variable. So whenever hooks class got executed, automatically we will get the driver in this particular test steps class, right? So what I will do now, I will go back to the data-driven testing.feature file. I will simply create the step. Basically I will implement the step definition for this particular step, that is step number 3rd. I will right click on this feature file and I will say define steps. Then I will select the copy to clipboard. Then again I will go back to the data-driven testing step definitions. Then I will paste it here. So that's it. So if you look at the line number 17, so it is accepting the one argument from the step, this particular step, right? So I will give the argument name as search key. That's it. So already we have identified the search text box in the YouTube. I will go back to the future one step definition class and I'll copy this part code and I'll paste it here. So I will remove this hard-coded values. Then simply I will pass this particular parameter argument in the send keys. That's it, guys. So this is very simple how you can implement the steps by passing the test data in a steps, right? So what I have done, I have created a feature file and here I have written the one step, and from this particular step I'm passing the test data as a testers talk by buckupan, right? So after that we have created a data-driven testing step definitions class. Inside this we have implemented that particular step. Now I will build this particular project now. So build got succeeded. I will go to the test explorer. If you see here, so there is another scenario called data-driven testing, and if I go to the data-driven testing feature file, so this is a scenario name, right? So data-driven testing. So let's execute the scenario now. So what it should do is it has to open the browser from the hooks and it will enter the URL. Then it will search with the testers talk by backup, right? Then automatically it will close the browser from the hooks. So I will execute the scenario now. It has opened the browser now and also entered the URL. Now it will search with the testers talk by backup. Then finally it will close the browser. So that's it, guys. So this is working fine, and we can pass any test data, whatever the test data you want, you can pass it from here. You can just pass just backup and this particular test data should be passed into your script, and same keyword should be entered in the YouTube search text box. Let's execute one more time. So this is how you can perform data-driven testing by passing the test data at step level. Now it will enter the value in the search text box and it's searching with the backup in. Then it is closing the browser. So this is how we can pass the test data at a step level and perform the data-driven testing. In the next tutorial, I will cover how to pass the test data from the examples keyword. By using the examples keyword, how we can pass the multiple sets of test data to the scenario. We will discuss, and also we'll see what are data tables and how to work with the data tables to perform the data-driven testing. So same thing you can try at your end. So how we can perform the data-driven testing and how we can pass the test data at the step level. And click on like button and also subscribe to this particular channel. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakapa. In this Specflow Selenium C tutorial series, I will discuss how to perform the data-driven testing using the examples keyword. I will go to the Visual Studio now. Then I will simply copy the data-driven testing .feature file and I'll paste it inside the feature folder. And I will rename this particular feature file name as examples data-driven testing. So that's it. I'll open the feature file, that is examples data-driven testing.feature file. Then I will rename the feature name as examples data-driven testing, and similarly I'll copy this feature name and I will specify the scenario name as the same name. That's it. So you need to define scenario outline when you are using the examples keyword. So here you can write scenario outline. After writing the scenario outline, you can write the examples here in the end of the scenario. So here you can specify the test data in the pipes basically. So here I'm specifying testers. Sorry, I'll specify first. You need to specify the header. So I'll say search key and followed by the instead of search key. So simply I will So firstly I'll specify the header, then followed by the values. So firstly I'll specify first set of test data is spec flow by testers top. Then similarly I'll specify selenium by testers top. So that's it. So in the first step, it will open the browser from the hooks. We are not doing anything in this particular step. And in the second step, it will enter the URL. And in the third step, we will implement it with respect to the examples keyword. So what I will do here, I will rewrite this particular step with search with. You need to specify less than and greater than. So within these two symbols, you need to write the header. Whatever the headers we have specified inside this particular pipes. So I'll copy this header and I'll paste it here. So that's it. So our feature file is ready. So we have created a one feature file. So inside this we have written the feature name, then followed by the scenario. So we have written the scenario followed by the outline. So when you are using the examples keyword, so this is must keyword. So scenario outline you have to write and specify the scenario name. Then you can write the steps. So especially when you want to perform the data-driven testing by using the examples keyword, so you need to specify these two symbols, less than and greater than. Within that you need to specify the header value. So whatever the header value we have specified here in these two pipes, between the pipes, so same header value has to be present in the steps as well, right? So these are the first set of test data and this is the second set of test data. So here what we are doing is we are opening the browser and we are entering the URL of youtube.com. Then we are searching with the Specflow by tester stock and selenium by tester stock, right? So this is what we are going to search it. So our feature file is ready, right? Now we have to implement the steps for especially line number 9, right? So now I will go inside the step definitions folder and I will copy the data driven testing step definitions class and I'll paste it inside the same folder. Then I will rename the class name as examples data driven testing step definitions class. Then here I'll just specify the examples. So that's it. Then I will open the class. So these are the steps. I don't need it. I will simply delete it, right? Then I will specify the class name here and similarly I'll specify the constructor. So from this particular constructor, we can get the driver object from the hooks, right? So that's it. Let me just specify the constructor name. So that's it. So we have the feature file and we have the examples data driven testing step definition class as well. Now we have to implement the step. So I will go to the examples data driven testing .feature file and I will right click on this feature file. Then I will select the define steps. Simply I'll copy to clipboard and I will go to the examples data driven testing step definition class and I'll paste it here. That's it. So what we need to do is simply, so whatever the value is coming, right, this is the first value from the scenario file. So under the examples, so this is the first set of test data. So simply delete this one. So inside the brackets you can specify dot star. So that's it. So after specifying the dot star within these two brackets, and you can simply get the one value of type string. Then you can specify the any variable name here. Search key I am giving it. So that's it. So I will go back to the data driven testing step definition class. So already we have identified the youtube.com search text box XPath. By using the XPath we have identified the web element. Then I will copy the same web element and I'll paste it here inside this. So I will pass the same key, same variable that's of type string. I'll pass this particular key here. After entering the first set of test data, simply it will press the enter from the keyboard by using the keys. Then it will wait for some time and then it will close the browser from the hooks, right? So we are done with implementation. So let me summarize once again. We have created the examples data driven testing.feature file and here we have defined the scenario with the scenario outline. Then in the steps we have defined by using the less than and greater than symbol, and within this in between we have provided the header value from the examples. So this particular value we have provided here. Then we have provided the test data. So here you can pass the n number of test data, right? So currently we have provided two sets of test data, right? So let's execute the scenario now. So before we go ahead and execute this scenario, I will build the project. I will build the solution. Then I'll go to the test explorer. And if you look at on the left side, so this is the feature. So under this particular feature, so if I drag right side, still you can see the description for this one. So this is the project name followed by the folder, and after that there is a feature name. So that's it. Under that particular feature, you can see there are two scenarios exist. One is Selenium by tester stock, another one is Specflow by tester stock. So let's execute this feature, and this particular scenario will execute two times with the different sets of test data. So let's verify it now. Let me go back to the test explorer now. So first scenario is getting executed and it will start with the Specflow by tester stock. So it has entered the URL after opening the browser. So it is searching with the Selenium by tester stock. So already it has executed both the scenarios, right? So let's re-execute the feature file once again. We'll see the execution clearly. Now the first scenario is getting executed. That means the same one scenario, and we are passing the first time by searching with the Specflow by tester stock first time, and second time it will search with the Selenium by tester stock. Right, it is entering the Selenium by tester stock. So this is how we can perform the data-driven testing in Specflow Selenium C# by using the examples keyword. So in the next tutorial, I will discuss how to use the data tables to perform the data-driven testing in Specflow Selenium C#. So same scenario you can try at your end. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section if you are having any issues or queries. Click on like button and also you can subscribe to this channel to get the more updates from this channel. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakappa. In this Specflow tutorial series, I will discuss how to perform data-driven testing using data tables in Specflow BDD automation framework. In the previous tutorial, I have discussed how to perform data-driven testing using examples. In that case, the whole scenario was running with the multiple sets of test data, right? So there will be sometimes you need to run specific step in a scenario with the multiple sets of test data. So that can be achieved by using the data tables in Specflow. So let's implement data-driven testing using data tables in Specflow. So I'll quickly create the one feature file here in the features folder. I'll go to the new item. Then I will select the Specflow. Then I'll add the one feature file here. I will provide the feature file name as data table data-driven testing. So that's it. I'll click on add. So we have the feature file now. So I will go to the examples data-driven testing feature file. Simply I will copy the whole scenario and I'll paste it inside the data table data-driven testing. So I will rename this feature name as data table data-driven testing. So similarly, I will rename the scenario name with data table data-driven testing. So I will remove this scenario outline and examples keyword. So that's it. Then I'll remove that space. Okay. So we have the three steps and we were performing the data-driven testing by using the examples keyword. That whole scenario was executing based on the number of sets of test data, right? So now we will discuss how to perform data-driven testing with a single step based on number of sets of test data, how we can execute this particular step, right? So what I will do, so I will not update anything in this first two steps. So I will go ahead and add one third step. I will say here enter keywords in YouTube. I'll say enter search keywords in YouTube. So that's it. So as of now, here I have added only one key. So like this, you can add a number of keys here and respective value, you can pass it like this. So right now we have the two sets of test data. First one is Specflow by tester stock and the second set of test data is Selenium by tester stock, right? So we have created the one feature file and also we have written the scenario. So we have to implement the third step, right? So enter search keyword in YouTube. So we have to implement this particular step. So now I will go to the step definitions folder and I will create a class. I'll copy this one of the previous step definition class and I'll paste it. I will rename the class here with just I will add instead of, so here I'll add data tables, data table, data driven testing step definition class. So that's it. I'll copy the class name as well. So that's it guys. So I will remove all the steps inside the class. Then I will provide the class name. So that's it, we are done. So again, I will go back to the feature file, data table data driven testing dot feature file. I will simply right click on this feature file and I'll say define steps. So simply I'll click on this copy to clipboard and our step is ready. So we need to write the logic. I'll come to the data table data driven testing step definition class and I'll paste it here. So that's it. I will remove this line. Right. So you can add a number of test data. So you can add a number of test data like this. You can add right now I have added 2 sets of test data, and also you can add the n number of columns and n number of rows. You can add it, and that will be your assignment. I will show you how to read these particular sets of test data and how to perform the data driven testing using the data tables especially, right? So now I will go back to the again step definition class. So here we will write the main logic which will read this particular test data one by one and it will pass to this particular step, right? So first time it will opens the browser and it will enter the URL, that is youtube.com. Then it will search with the Specflow by tester stock first time. Then again second time it will search with the Selenium by tester stock. So without opening the browser. So that means in this case basically we are saving the time. We are not opening the browser and we are entering the URL, right? So let us implement the logic. We'll read this particular sets of test data and we'll pass it one by one. I'll go back to the step definition class now. So here I'm using before we write anything in this particular step, so let's define the one getter and setter class for reading this particular test data, right? So I will go back to the class again. So here I'm writing public class. So here I'll say class name as search key test data, I'll say. So that's it. So here I'm just specifying the key name. So that means whatever the header key, whatever the header data we have specified here. So this I will pass it in the variable name, right? So that's it. So if you are having a number of columns like this, you can specify all those column names inside this particular getter and setter class, right? So as of now I am having only one column, so that's the reason I have written only one variable. I have declared only one variable with a setter, getter and setter. So that's it. So now what I will do, let's implement the logic to read the test data. Here I'll use the reference variable of table, right? Then I'll say create set. So here you need to pass the class name, so where you are actually creating the getters and setters. So I'll copy this class name and I'll pass it here. So that's it. Now you can import this particular create set from the techtalk.specflow.assist. Then I will assign back to the var. So here I'll say search criteria. So that's it. So this particular variable contains all the in this particular feature file, right? We have the 2 sets of test data. So I'll come back to the step definition file. So I need to iterate through all the test data, right? So that this particular step will get executed based on number of sets of test data, right? So for that reason I will write the for each loop here. So let me just write the for each loop here. So simply I will copy this particular var variable and I'll say var, I'll say keyword, then I'll say in. So this is a simple for each loop I'm writing here. So this has a collection of data and I'm reading one by one by using the keyword, right? So for example, so currently we are having the 2 sets of test data. The count of this search criteria search criteria will be 2. 2 times this for each loop will be getting executed, whatever the code we have written inside the for each loop, right? So now, so we have opened the browser from the hooks, then we are entering the URL. So here we have to identify the web element, right? After that, you can enter these search keywords in the search text box, right? So let us quickly write the XPath to identify the search text box. So I'll inspect the element. So here I'm using the name attribute. By using the name attribute, simply I will write one XPath. So at the rate attribute name and equal to, in the single quotation you can specify the value. So it is matching with the search text box, right? So that's it. Let's go to the step definition file. So here I'm using the driver object and I'm calling to the find element. So inside this I will say y.xpath. So inside that I will pass the xpath, and after that I will call to the method called clear. So if any value is there, simply it will clears that particular text box, right? By using the same xpath, I will enter the value now this time by using the send keys. So to access the test data, you need to use the keyword dot, you can call to the variable, whatever the variable you have specified here. So you can call to this particular variable so that it will returns you the respective value. So right now, whenever the first time this scenario got executed, and whenever it comes to third step, right, it will pass this particular test data first time, and second time it will pass this second set of test data to the third step, right? Then after that it will simply close the browser from the hooks, right? So that's it, guys. So it is very simple. I have identified the element and I'm clearing it, the text box, and after that we are entering the test data by using the keywords. So for the first time it will return the first set of test data, and second time whenever it is executing it will return the second set of test data. So I will use this same XPath. After entering some value in the text box, search text box, I am just using the send keys and I'm pressing the enter. So here I'm using the keys dot enter. Sorry. So after pressing the enter, I will wait for some time. So I will use the thread dot sleep. So inside this, I will specify 5000 milliseconds. That means it will be 5 seconds. So that's it, guys. So let me summarize once again from the scratch, from the beginning. We have written the one feature file, and you can just create a feature file and you can specify the steps. Where you wanted to run a specific step with the multiple sets of test data, you can create like this. You can add a number of columns and a number of rows with the test data, so that that particular test step will run, scenario step will run with the multiple sets of test data. So after passing the multiple sets of test data to particular step, also you can implement the a number of steps. So that is up to you. So just I'm showing you how to perform the data driven testing by using the data tables, right? So this is a scenario what we have written, and it will open the browser and it will enter the URL and it will run this particular step 2 times. First time it will pass this particular set of test data, and second time it will pass the second set of test data. Then finally it will close the browser. Let's go to the data table step definition file. So here what we have done is, it is very simple. We have created a step by using the table reference variable. We have called to the create set, and by using the getters and setters we are getting all the values from the feature file and we are storing it in the search criteria variable. So once we have the set of data, then we are reading it one by one by using the for each loop. So whenever it runs the first time, it will get the first set of test data, then it will execute this particular step, and whenever it comes the second time to this particular step, it will pass the second set of test data to this particular step, and it will perform the rest of the actions. So that's it, guys. So let me build this project now. So our build is successful. I will go to the test explorer now. So here we should be able to see the data driven testing, right? So if you look at this our feature file, we have represented this scenario name as data driven testing. So I will execute this particular scenario now. So it should launch the browser and it should enter the youtube.com. Then it has to search with the two keywords. First time it should search with the Specflow by tester stock. Second time it should search with the Selenium by tester stock. So first time it is searching with the Specflow by tester stock. Then it is clearing it and it is searching with the Selenium by tester stock. So if you look at the result also, and if I come to the step where it is entering multiple sets of test data, I mean where it is passing multiple sets of test data to the particular step, right? So here it is showing also, right? So first time it is passing the Specflow by tester stock. Second time it is passing the Selenium by tester stock. So like this, you can add n number of columns, and also you can similar way you can add the n number of getters and setters. So based on the number of columns, you need to add the getters and setters. Then same thing, it will be repeated in the for each loop and it will be executed multiple times. So this is how we can use the data tables for performing the data driven testing in Specflow BDD automation framework. Click on like if you like this video, and also comment in the comment section if you are having any questions or queries or any issues. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakapa. In this tutorial, I will discuss how to implement page object model design pattern with Specflow. Firstly, I will discuss why we have to use page object model design pattern. Then I will discuss what is page object model. Then we'll see what are the advantages and disadvantages of using the page object model. Then finally, I will discuss what are the minutes of this particular tutorial. So let's discuss why we have to use the page object model concept. If you look at the diagram, so here I'm identifying the element and I'm performing the action. And if you look at the locator value, so I have highlighted it in the yellow color, but in each of the line, I'm performing the different action on the element. Firstly, I'm clearing it. Second method is a click method, and third method is send keys. But in these cases, locator value is same and we are hard coding that particular value. Let's assume we have 100 test scripts or 100 step definition classes. So wherever we need to perform an action on the element, so we might have done in the similar fashion, right? So tomorrow developer will come to you and he will ask to run the test suite, right? In that case, you will execute the test suite and you will get to know that there are a lot of automation script got failed because of the no such element exception. Because there might be a reason developer might have changed the web page attributes and the values because of the XYZ reason. In that cases, so you might have implemented the 100 test scripts or step definition files by hard coding the locator value, right? In those cases, what you will have to do, you need to check each and every test script where you have hard coded the locator value, you need to modify it, right? So this will be the very tedious job for you, and maintenance will be very high. So you'll be spending a lot of time in maintaining the test script itself, right? So how you can avoid this kind of scenario is by using the page object model concept. So let's discuss what is page object model concept. So page object model is a design pattern to create the object repository for the web page elements, and for every web page there will be a corresponding page class. Then each page class contains web page elements, and also it contains the abstraction methods which will perform the action on the that particular page itself, right? Let's take an example of youtube.com. So here I have listed out two diagrams. First one is search page. When you open the youtube.com, and here you'll find the one search text box. First you need to identify this particular search text box. You need to keep it in the search page class. And if you want to perform the search functionality, what you need to do, you need to implement the one abstraction method in the search page itself, search page class itself. So whenever there is a later point of time, if any functionality got changed, so directly you can come to this particular search page and you can update it there. It can be any locator, or it can be with respect to the functionality, that is abstraction method. So similarly, so after performing the search functionality in the YouTube search page or the home page of the YouTube, so it comes to the next page called result page. And if you look at this one, so here I have searched with the tester stock, then it's displayed the relevant results. So this is our the result page. For example, here I want to click on this channel name. So I will identify this element and I'll keep it in the result page class. And if I want to click on this channel name, so what I will do, I will implement the one abstraction method which will click on this channel name. So that's how it is. So if you are having a number of pages, with respect to that there will be corresponding page class in the automation framework. So this is a simple example. I hope you understand this concept. So let's move on to the next slide. So let's discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of using the page object model concept. So code will be more cleaner and easy to understand if you follow the POM concept. Then object repository is independent of the test scripts, because we will be having the page classes, because in the page classes it contains the web page elements and object, and with respect to that abstraction methods which will perform action on the same web pages. Then third advantage is test script will be optimized, because we will be having the page abstraction methods implemented in the page classes, so that we can create the, with less keystrokes we can create our test script. So let's discuss what are the disadvantages of using the page object model. First one is time and effort. So we will be spending a lots of time in creating the page object model page classes, because you will have to identify the web page element and you need to implement the abstraction method which will perform the action on that particular page. So that will be quite time consuming. And next disadvantage is it is specific to the project. Suppose if I have implemented the page object model concept in the one project, I can't use the same code in the another project. So that's the second disadvantage. So that's it. That's all about the advantages and disadvantages. So let's discuss what are the minutes of this tutorial. That means what we are going to do it in a couple of minutes. First step 1, we are going to discuss the test scenario which we are going to automate it by using the page object model. And second, we will create the feature file. Then we will create the step definition class. Next, we will implement the scenario steps in the step definition class. Then finally we will create the page objects, page classes. At the end we will execute the test script. That means we will execute the feature file and we will verify the extent report. You can find all the code whatever I have discussed so far with respect to the Specflow tutorial series. You can go to this GitHub page. Once you go to this GitHub page in the web browser, over here in the repositories, you will find the Specflow BDD automation framework. You can go to this repository and you can clone it by using this link. If you come down here and you will find the contents what I have covered for the Specflow Selenium C BDD automation framework. So this is the last tutorial. I'm covering it for the Specflow BDD automation framework. So let's discuss our minutes of this tutorial. So firstly we will discuss the scenario. So I will open this browser, Chrome browser, then I will enter this URL youtube.com, then I will perform the search with the tester stock. So before that, so after opening the browser, it is displayed the search page. So basically this is called a search page or the home page, and then we will, after entering the search keywords, we will press the enter from the keyboard. Then we have the another page displayed called result page. So while creating the page object, page classes, we will be creating the three pages. First one is the first page is home page or the search page. Second one is a result page. After coming to the result page, we will click on the tester stock link. Then we will verify this particular text, title of this particular window, right? So this is a scenario what we are going to automate it in a couple of minutes. So let's go back to the IDE now. We will create the feature file and we will create the scenario for the same test scenario. So I will go to the features folder and here I will add the feature file first. Here I'll select the Specflow. Then I'll specify the feature file name as page object model. Then I'll add it. I will open the page. I'll just rename this feature name as page object model dot feature file. So that's it. Then here I'll specify the feature name as page object model. Let me close this test explorer now. I don't need it. So I'm specifying the page object model as a feature name, and similarly I'll specify the scenario name as the same name, that is a page object model as a scenario name, and I will specify the tag name as tester stock. So that's it. Here I'll write the one simple line, I mean the description for the feature: search testers talk in YouTube. So that's it. So let's implement now. Let's write the steps by using the Gherkin keywords. So in the given, what I will do. So this framework already takes care of how to open the browser and how to close the browser by using the hooks. Already we have discussed in the previous tutorials. So after opening the browser, we are entering the URL. So that is the reason I will write the first step as enter YouTube URL. So this is the first step. So enter the YouTube URL. And second step, what I will write is search for the tester stock in YouTube. And then I will write the third step by using the and Gherkin keyword. So we have opened the browser from the hooks, then we have entered the URL, then we are searching for the tester stock in YouTube, and after that we have to click on the channel name, right? So That's the reason here I'm writing navigate to channel. Then, so after navigating to the channel page, so here we have to verify the title of that particular web page, right? Then I'll say verify title of the page. That's it, guys. So it is very simple. From the hooks, automatically browser will open. Then in the first step, we are entering the URL. Then we are searching for testers talk in YouTube. Then we are navigating to the channel. Then finally we are verifying the title of the page. So that's it. We are done with the step 2. The first step we have discussed the test scenario. Then in the second step we have created the page object model feature file. In the third step we have to create the step definition class. So I'll copy the feature 1 step definition class and I'll paste it inside the same folder. Then I will rename this class name as page object model step definitions. I will remove this particular copy. So that's it. I will open the page object model step definitions class. So I will remove all the steps. I don't want it. So that's it. So here I'll specify the class name as the page object model step definitions. So similarly I'll add the constructor name. So that's it. So when browser launched from this hooks, so automatically we will get the driver in this particular constructor. Then after taking this driver, we are assigning to our internal variable, that is iWebDriverType. By using this driver object, we can identify the elements and we can perform the actions. So that's it. So we have the feature file and we have the step definition file. Now we have to create the step implementations. So you can go to the page object model feature file and right click on this file and you say define steps and simply copy it and come back to the page object model step definition class and paste it here. So that's it. So I'll remove these statements. So that's it, guys. So we are done with step 3. We have discussed the test scenario, then we have created the feature file, then we have implemented the step definition class. So we will write the main logic bit later after creating the page object page classes, right? So our next step number 4 is we have to create the page object model page classes. So inside this project I will create the one folder called pages. So inside the pages I will create the one class called search page. So you can rename it as even home page also, that is also fine. Here I'll say search page, then add it. So I'll open the class. Here I'll define this class as a public. So that's it. So here I'm creating one constructor public and followed by the class name. So this will accept the iWebDriverType. So here I'll say I. So that's it. You can import this iWebDriver from the openqa.selenium. So why I'm defining the constructor is whenever I'm calling the methods, whenever I'm trying to identify the web page element by using driver object, so we will get the driver from the step definition class. So we will pass this particular driver object. So it is initiated from the hooks. After from the hooks, it will comes to the step definition class. From step definition class, we will pass on to our page object model page class, right? So whenever we create the object of this particular class, so automatically driver object will be initiated, right? So here I'm declaring one private web driver and driver. So I will accept the driver when object gets created, and I'll assign to the current class driver reference variable. So simply I'll say this dot driver, and I'll assign this particular driver to the current class driver reference variable, right? So that's it. So by using this driver reference variable, you can find the element and you can perform the action on the any of the web element. So this is a simple skeleton we have to follow in the another couple of page classes also. So we have created the search page class. After searching it, so we have the result page. So let's create the result page now. So I'll add it as a class. Here I'll say result page. Then add it. So similarly, I'll add the another page called channel page. From the result page, we are clicking on the channel, so it is going to the channel page. So that is the reason I'm creating another class called channel page. From the channel page itself, we are going to get the title of the web page, right? So here I'm saying channel page. That's it. So let's go to the search page. Simply I'll copy this skeleton of the constructor. I will go to the result page and I'll specify this as a public class. I'll come inside this one, I'll paste it. So here I will just specify the class name as the constructor name. Then you can import the iWebDriver from the openqa.selenium. So similarly, I will be doing it for the channel page also. Public class and the class name. So inside this, I will define the constructor. Then you can import the related packages from the iWebDriver. Then specify the constructor name as a class name. So that's it. So our skeleton is ready in the search page, result page, and channel page. So we have created a total 3 pages, right? Now in the search page, what we have to do? We have to identify this search text box, right? So let's identify the search text box by inspecting it. So here I'm using the one attribute called name. By using the name, I will identify this particular search text box. I'll use this value and I'll write the XPath. Here I'm specifying 2 / followed by, within the square brackets I am saying name equal to, in the single quotation I'm specifying the value. So it is highlighting the search text box. I'll copy this XPath, right? We have the constructor ready inside the search page. So here we have to define the web page element, right? So that can be done by using the by dot. You can specify the any XPath. So let's write by and equal to, you can specify the web page element name. So here I'm saying search text box and equal to, here you can use by dot. You will get all the locators here, right? So we have written the XPath, so I'm selecting the XPath. So inside this you can specify the value whatever we have just now written in the web page, right? So that's it. So similarly you can add a number of web page elements by using the by dot, and whatever the locator you want to use, you can go ahead and use it. That is not an issue. And if there is a change in the web page element, directly you can come to this particular class and modify it here. Only one place. No need to go to the each and every test script and modify it, right? So that's all about identifying the web page element and specifying it in the search page. That's a page object model page class, right? So now we have identified the search text box. So we have to implement a one method which will enter the search keyword, right? So that's the reason here I'm writing public, and return type I'm specifying it as a next page type. So first page is search page, then next we have the result page, right? After searching here something, tester stock, it is going to the result page. So that is the reason I need to return the object of next page, that means result page. So that's the reason I will specify here as a result page. Then I'll say here search text as a method name. Then here I'm accepting one argument. Whenever I call this particular method, we have to pass the search keyword. So here I'm saying text. So that's it. So let's use this particular element by using the by. So here I'm using the driver object dot, I'm calling to the find. So inside this we have to pass the by type, right? So I will pass this particular element, that is a by type. Then here I'm using the send keys. By using the send keys I can enter the text, whatever it is coming in this particular text variable. Then after entering the data in this particular search text box, we have to, after entering the data in this particular search text box, we have to press the enter from the keyboard also, right? So let's perform that action by using the send keys only. I'll copy the whole statement. So right now we are implementing the page object, page classes. After implementing all these page object, page classes, we will be calling these methods in the step definition class. If you look at this step definition class, we have not written anything inside the step implementations, right? So let's implement these pages firstly, then we will call these methods in the step definition class. So inside the send keys, I will use the keys dot enter. So this will press the enter from the keyboard. So that's it, guys. So if you look at this one, return type is result page type. At the end, I will say return new followed by the result page. So inside this, we have to pass the driver object, right? So that's it. So we are done with implementing the search page. So we have defined the constructor which will get the driver object from the step definition class, and after that we have identified the element, and we have created one abstraction method which will perform the search functionality in the web page, and at the end it is returning the result page, right? So let's go to the result page now. So similarly, so here in the result page I need to identify this particular text, and I need to click on this particular channel, right? That is a tester stock. So what I will do, simply I'll use by, here I'll say channel name as the by name, then I'll use the by dot locator. Here I'm using the link text, so simply I'll specify the channel name inside the link text. Here I'm using testers talk. So that's it. So we have identified the web page element by using the link text. After that, let's write the abstraction method to perform the click operation on that. Public. So after clicking on this channel, it is going to the channel page. So that's the reason we have to write the return type as channel page, right? So here I'm writing channel page, and after that I'll say click on channel. So that's it, guys. So similarly, I will use the driver object dot find element. So inside that I will pass the by type, whatever we have used, and then I'll call to the click. Then finally I have to return the object of type channel page type. So here I'm calling the return, then I'll create the object of the channel page. So inside this we have to pass the driver object. So that's it, guys. It's very simple. Now we are done with implementing the result page. Then we will go to the channel page now. In this channel page, we are not doing anything. Simply we are getting the title of this web page, right? That means it will return the tester stock -YouTube. So this particular text we are validating it in the last step. right? That is so that's what we have to do. So here I'm not identifying any element. That means, so here I'm writing one simple method public which will return me the particular web page. So here I'm saying get title. So by using the driver object, I'll say title. So this returns me the title of the web page. Here I'll specify return statement. So that's it, guys. So now we are done with implementing the search page, result page, and then channel page. In the search page, we are performing the search text. Sorry, we are performing the search operation in the search page. In the result page, we are clicking on the channel, and in the channel page, we are getting the title of the web page. That's it. So let's call the first method, that is a search text. This particular method in the our step definition class, right? So now I will go to the page object model step definition class, and here let us implement, let's write an logic for each steps. So first step we have is enter the YouTube URL, right? So we will use the driver object. So as we have the driver object in this current class from the hooks, so I am using the same object dot URL. So this is where we have to write the URL. So simply I'll go here and I'll copy it, this youtube.com. Then so after opening the youtube.com, so I'm specifying thread dot sleep so that even execution can be slow, so that we can verify it properly. So here I'm passing the 4000 milliseconds. That means 4 seconds it will wait after entering the URL, right? So let us go to the next step. We have entered the URL, entered the YouTube URL. Then in the second step, search for the tester stock in YouTube, right? So this functionality is already implemented in our search page, right? So if I have to call to this particular method, sorry, so I have to create the object of the search page. So here I will create the object of the search page. So here I'm specifying the reference variable of the search page, and I will import the respective class. Sorry, with respect to that, I have imported simply this particular class from the pages, right? So that's it. So I will use this particular reference variable inside the second step, that is search for. Then I will create the object here, and then I will pass the driver object. So that's it. Now once we have the object of the search page, we can use that search page dot, you can call to the method called search text. So here we have to pass the search keyword. So here I'm passing tester stock. So that's it. So after searching for something, let's wait for some time. I will use the thread dot sleep so that we can see the execution properly. So now we are done with entering the URL, then searching for the something in the youtube.com. Second step. In the third step, we need to navigate to the channel. We have to click on the channel. So this abstraction method is implemented in the result page. So if you look at this particular method, search text, so this is returning us the result page type, right? So that is the reason we have to, after calling this method search text, we have to assign back to the result page reference variable. So how we have created a reference variable for the search page, I will create another reference variable of type result page type. So I will take this reference variable, and in the line number 30, so I will assign back here. And if you see the return type of this particular method search text, and it is returning as the result page, right? So that's the reason I have assigned back to the reference variable of the result page. Now I can use this reference variable of result page class, and I can call to the method called click on the channel. We can perform the click operation on the channel by calling to this method. Let us go to our step definition class. By using the result page, I will call to the click on channel. So that's it. After going to the channel, so I'll wait for some time there also so that we can see the execution properly. So we navigated to the channel, then finally we have to verify the title of that particular web page, right? So that's the reason I'm using the assert dot. So you can import it from the unit.framework, and here you can find a number of methods, but you can use only the are equal, where you can specify expected and actual result. So there are other method also, you can try it out and let me know if you face any issues. So here we have to specify the expected and actual result. So already if I go to the channel page, so this method is returning me the title of the web page, right? So let's go to the our step definition class now. So return type of this click on channel, right? If you see it, it is a channel page type. So we have to assign back to the channel page type so that we can call to the this particular method get title so that we can read the title of that particular web page. So similarly, how we have created the reference variable of the search page, result page. So we need to create another reference variable of channel page as well so that we can call to the respective method. So by using this particular channel page reference variable, so here I will simply assign the, after calling to the method called click on channel, and it is returning me the channel page type. So that's the reason here I have assigned back to the channel page. By using this one, so here I'm using the reference variable of channel page and I'm calling to the method called get title. So this method returns me the actual title of the web page from the web application. So here we have to specify the expected result. So here it is displayed the channel name, title of the web page is tester stock space hyphen, then it is displayed the YouTube. So this is what it is displayed. So here by using the assertion, we are simply comparing the two values. One is from the web page and second one is expected value, right? So that's it, guys. So almost we have implemented the most of the logic which is required for the page object model concept. So whatever the minutes of this tutorial we have discussed. So now we are left with only step number 6. We have to execute the feature file and we have to verify the extent report is generated properly or not, right? So let's build this project now. So meanwhile, let me summarize what we have done so far. We have created the page object model feature file. Then we have created the page object model step definition class. Then third thing what we have done is we have created the pages folder. Inside that we have implemented 3 page classes. And all the methods from these classes, page classes, we have called it in the our step definition class. So that's it, guys. Now let's execute the scenario. I will go to the test explorer, and if you look at this scenario is surrounded with the tester stock. Inside this particular group, we should be able to find the script called page object model, right? So I will go to the test explorer, and if you see here, so there is a script called page object model. So simply I will run it. So let's verify. After the execution, extent report is generated or not. So after the successful execution, we will verify with the failed script as well, whether properly report is generating or not. So now the browser got opened and also it is entered the URL. Now it should search with the tester stock, and it is searching with the tester stock, and after that it has to click on the channel name and it is going to the channel name. sorry, it is going to the channel page. Then finally, it is verifying the title of the web page. And if you look at this one, our test is passing successfully, right? So let us go to our results, test results folder. Let's look at the extend report. So if you look at this one, so just now this report got generated. Simply I'll open the extend report. And if you look at this one, right, so this is the feature name what we have given. And here also you can see the feature name. And this is a scenario name what we have given, right? So inside this particular scenario, we have the 4 steps. First step is given, enter the YouTube URL. Then second step, search for the tester stock in YouTube. Then third step, navigate to channel. Then finally, we are verifying the title of the page. So we have executed successfully, guys. So that's it. So let us try to fill the test script and we will execute it. So what I will do is, I will go to the fourth step where we are verifying the title of the web page, right? So I will modify a little bit there. I'll go to definition. So here expected result is this one. Now it is matching, so that's the reason our test is getting passed. So simply I'll remove this YouTube. So now actual text and the expected text will not match. So this time it will fail. So we'll execute this feature file. Then we will verify the extent report is reflecting properly or not. We'll verify this one. It has opened the browser and entered the URL, and it is going to search with the keywords, that is a tester stock. Because we have provided a little bit of wait, so it is executing a bit slow. So it is searching with the tester stock and it is clicked on the channel name. Then it is going to verify the title of this particular web page. Then finally it is good closing the browser, and it should fail because expected result and the actual results are not matching. If you look at this one in the message also, so we are expecting the just tester stock, but in the web page present tester stock hyphen and the YouTube. So this is the expected failure. So let us go to our extend report. We'll verify whether it is properly report is reflected or not. Let's refresh this page, and if you look at this one, this particular feature got failed. And if I click on this scenario, first 3 steps are passed, and in the 4th step our expected and actual results are not matching of the web page title, and it is filled with the reason, proper reason, and also it has added the screenshot at the end. If you click on this screenshot, it is going to open the screenshot like this. So this is how you can implement the page object model design pattern with the Specflow Selenium C#. Same thing you can try at your end, and also you can try to pass the search keywords from the feature file by using the data tables or the examples. So this will be your assignment. You can try at your end, and if you face any difficulties or if you are having any issues or queries, you can comment in the comment section. Click on like and also subscribe to this particular channel. Thank you so much for watching.